Quebec, Canada, fighting Troy the Destroyer Dorsey, 12 rounds for the World Super Lightweight Championship.
What are you going to do now as far as kickboxing?
First, I want to thank God. Say hello to my wife, Shelly and Kendra. Happy birthday, Shane. And thank all of my instructors and students at my school. Now, pick up kickboxing and boxing both again and go out there a world title.
Congratulations.
Okay, thank you. All right. The winner and still Hurricane World Super Lightweight Champion of the world, Troy the Destroyer Dorsey!
Welcome everybody to this week's episode of If the Gloves Could Talk. I'm your host, Bryce George, and here with me today I have the man of the hour and every hour on this podcast, Mr. Troy Dorsey. Troy, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah? What do you think of the solar eclipse this week?
Oh, I thought it was pretty cool. It's just another act of God.
I know.
No way it would happen and without him, and he controlled it where it was perfect, and then it went away, and now it's like, wow.
And I believe the last time there was so we're in the DFW area in Texas here, so we had 100% totality, and not everyone did. So the last time that we had 100% totality of the solar eclipse was, I believe, close to 300 years ago. So this really is a once-in-a-lifetime thing that we experienced.
I was real young when that happened.
Yeah, Troy was still around back here. He was around, and he's still around today, you guys. So, but
300 years ago.
I know. But no, it was a really, really amazing thing to see and to say that we've experienced. So
Yeah, I got a couple of pictures here on my phone.
we've got some too.
They're everywhere. You can see. Yeah.
It turned completely pitch black here in DFW around 1:41 p.m.
Yeah.
So that was just insane. But that was fun. And, of course, we're here today filming, so that's always a great day. And, Troy, have any plans for this week? We were on the phone earlier today, and you were teaching a private class, it sounded like.
Yes, I do private classes for people that want to do, they don't want to do the regular class, they want to do private class. So I work with people that way, and we also work with, and people can be in the group class. So we start kids at 4. My oldest student ever was 91. So there's really
All age ranges, pretty much.
There's no way too young. There's no one that wait. You know, people say, "I wish I would have done it when I was a kid." There's no reason not to do it when you're a kid. This guy that was 91, he started when he was 58.
Do you also have a lot of people who join who say maybe aren't in the most athletic shape? Like you can be in any stage of your...
Most people are not very athletic at all.
Mm-hmm.
So it's for the non-athletic. Like if you can't play football or maybe
So me.
or basketball or
right.
have a gift to do that, but then martial arts is really good for basketball players, football players, and people that have never done anything.
Did you this past weekend? Did you watch the women's college championship basketball games?
No, ma'am. I'm not really interested. Not in women, but in basketball alone. I just don't
Well,
really like to watch basketball.
So I love watching basketball, and I mean I don't know all like the technicalities of everything, but it's a fun sport to watch. And
I like Seth Curry. He's amazing.
Yes.
He was Sportsman of the Year, I believe, last year or something like that.
Yes. So this game was against University of Iowa and University of South Carolina. So South Carolina won by I think around 10 points, but just an amazing, amazing game. I personally think watching a women's basketball game is a lot more entertaining to watch than a men's. I don't know. It's just something about these women. Like they really just.
I heard they're really rocking it. Really, really doing it.
They're just great. And
slam dunking. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then this is me with my little things I know. University of South Carolina. One of their players who's going to the WNBA draft, I believe her last name's Cardoso. She's from Brazil, but she's 6'7".
Oh wow!
So she's definitely got height on both of us, Troy.
Yeah. I can stand on your shoulders.
I know.
Same height.
Exactly. So, Yeah, but it was a great game to watch, and we've got a lot ahead of us on today's episode. So here up next, we've got a Blast from the Past segment, which that is a past old interview that you and I did somewhere back in the last 2 years. So we're about to play that for you guys to watch, and when we come back, we'll recap.
Some people don't know how they're going to make it without being a drug dealer. Well, first of all, that's something, so you're not helping anybody there in that situation, and there are oftentimes people that die or get killed because of drugs or alcohol. Right. So there's nothing good about it except the love of money. I rub my hands together. The Bible even says the love of money is the root of all evil.
Correct.
Have I loved money? Yes, I battle with that at times. So, but I got a forgiving God. And He says He'll remember your sins no more. So when you ask Him for forgiveness, He'll remember your sins no more as far as the east is from the west. So I'm jumping all over the place here, as usual.
That's okay.
But yes, actually, alcohol is a drug. So, drugs. No bueno. Give me I want you to share with me one story that it really changed their life, it really helped their life to do drugs. There's no stories of the person became a better husband, or this lady became a better wife, or became a better teacher, became a better janitor, a better president of their country, or president of the country, or the president of their business. You don't normally hear about those people being successful.
Right.
Drugs is nothing but evil, and comes from the enemy. He wants to get people addicted to drugs so that he can get them away from him. It's not a godly life. And I lived it for a long time, from the time I was 18 years old until I was 35 years old, doing drugs and drinking. And if anyone that's watching this is thinking, and this might be a young person or might be an older person, and think, well, look at you, you're okay, and you made it through it, and you're alive, and you're not addicted, and your wife is still with you, and your grandkids and kids are okay. You made it through it. Yes, but I shouldn't have made it through it. And it's just no good. Nothing good came from me doing drugs or me drinking a beer or a case of beer. Nothing good came from it, ever. I'm just fortunate that I was blessed to not die. So that's my testimony. I've got that to say that I made it, because I would be disciplined for 6 or 8 weeks, and then after that, party was on. But only by the grace of God did that happen. His grace and mercy is amazing. How He'll just forgive us. He'll look the other way. Now He's watching us. He sees everything happen, and we can't trick our Lord. He knows right now I'm sitting in this studio, and He knew before the beginning of time I'd be sitting in this studio on March 20th. Is it March 20th?
Yep.
He knew I'd be sitting in the studio. Before He created the earth, He knew it. Our God is all-knowing. And it's amazing how He knew that, but He knew that I was going to get away from drugs and not be involved in that kind of life at all. That's why I'm here, to let people know. Don't go there. Avoid. You're driving down the road and you come to a cliff, and in front of that cliff is a big do not go past this sign. Well, the sign is the drugs. Don't go past. There's so many people that have died that I know of, and so many people have went to prison that I know of. So, prison, death, it's not a good thing. Taking your life in your own hands when you're doing drugs or drinking, whether it's just a beer or just a line of cocaine or marijuana. Marijuana it is a drug and it's legal in Colorado, and it is also they've proven that over long-term use of marijuana, it kills your drive, it kills your discipline, become somewhat lazy. So even though marijuana is legal, I don't agree that it's legal, but I wouldn't want, when I did it, I wouldn't want me driving a car or driving an airplane or riding a horse, because it's a mind-altering drug. So marijuana, cocaine, speed.
At its very base, it delays your response.
Oh yes.
I mean, at the very least. I mean,
and what's the drug now that is going around? Fentanyl. Oh my gosh, there are people that are these.
It's so fatal for
low life people. They are putting it on things like toys and other things, so that people, like if you see a bag outside blowing, piece of trash, don't pick it up, because it could have enough fentanyl on there to kill you. Have you heard that?
I hadn't heard that.
Yes,
I'm glad I don't pick up trash unless it's in my yard.
Right.
Now I guess I'll be wearing gloves.
Now you got to watch out for it. Yeah, put your gloves on. What a crazy world this is right now. How people would be so terrible to lace things with that drug.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I mean,
and I think most of the fentanyl is coming from Mexico. So thank you, Joe Biden, for opening the border to anybody that want to come through. So it's money driven. People don't do it because they care for people. People don't do it because it makes things better. People don't do it because the only reason they do it is for money. Money is the root of all evil.
Come on.
My name is Troy Dorsey. We offer martial arts and karate training and fitness kickboxing training. Our karate program is for men, women, and children of all ages. From 4.5, we even have a student that's 91 years old. Also, we teach fitness kickboxing. It's a 1-hour non-contact class of punching and kicking a bag, because hitting a bag is like weightlifting to help strengthen and tone your muscles. Give us a call at 817-477-5523. Come in and see us today and start your martial arts experience with us now.
We're back, guys, right after that Blast from the Past segment. Troy, are you ready for today's interview segment with John Longstreet?
Oh yes, I'm really looking forward to speaking with John. Haven't spoke with him in some time, so I think it might have been maybe 40 years. So 20, yeah, somewhere around 25 years, something like that, maybe. So yeah, he's a friend. I know I can count on. I can always count on John, and he was a great martial artist. So he is a great martial artist.
Right.
On the cover of Karate.
We got John right here today. It's like he's with us in person, but you will be seeing us speak to him here shortly. But yeah, past world kickboxing champion.
Oh yes, he's amazing.
Yeah, so you're going to want to check this interview out. We're about to play it for you guys, and when we come back, we're going to close out the show. everybody. It is your host, Bryce George, here on If the Gloves Could Talk. And as always, I have the wonderful Mr. Troy Dorsey here with me today. And not just Troy do we have here, we also have a past world kickboxing champion, Mr. John Longstreet. John, how are you doing today?
Good, real good.
So where are you joining us from today? We were speaking prior to the recording starting that you're in a hotel room. Are you traveling?
I'm in Minnesota right now, yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's just a few miles away from Texas, right, Troy?
Yeah, just a few miles. Yeah, all the way up.
Well, thank you for joining us today, John. I'd love to just first dive into, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Well, I have a strange connection to Texas. I was actually born in Odessa, Texas.
All right.
My parents lived there for a while, and then we slowly moved north to Missouri and then to Minnesota. And with the first week in Minnesota, we were driving and we saw a karate school that said open soon, and pulled into it, walked into the school with me and my brother. I was the first person to walk in the door, and was John Worley and a guy named Gary Hestelo.
Oh, wow.
Working in a karate school, and I was their first customer.
Oh, that's cool.
And from that, it's turned into a great thing with the friends that I made, and like Troy, is a wonderful man. He was fun to travel with because he always had a solution for any problem that happened.
For sure. And John, how old were you when you started martial arts?
I think I was like 13 or 14.
Yeah, and you said that you started martial arts around that time, and then in 1977 you became the first person to earn your black belt. So after doing that, what was next for you?
That's amazing, though. The first person in the school.
I know.
The first person to get his black belt. That is amazing. That's amazing. And those guys that he's talking about are heroes of mine, and really people hold them in real high esteem. So we know he's a great black belt.
Yeah, for sure.
It turned into a thing that was just fun because I got to meet a lot of people. I got to travel. I mean, I met Troy, and he's one of a kind. He's always upbeat. No matter how bad the situation was, Troy would always find something positive about it. So he was great to have around when we'd have those teams we'd take to Europe. He was always there giving everybody his support and giving great advice in the ring. So I can't stress that enough, how that made my job, my life so much easier.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, you helped with Raymond.
Yeah.
And
He's
we
a work in progress, of course. I guess. And
Still is.
I don't mean that in a bad way. I think John is a work in progress. I think I'm a work in progress.
We all are a work in progress,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. It is popped in my mind, and but I like that. I love Raymond for sure, and I know you do too.
Yeah, I do too.
And John, can you tell us a little bit, so for our audience watching, we have a photo of John here on a really popular karate magazine. Can you kind of tell us about, do you remember anything from this day, taking this?
Hey, John, so what we're asking you to do is tell us a little bit about the picture, of course, but also we want to let people know, I want people to know what you did in martial arts.
Yes.
And so it may sound like bragging, but it's not bragging, because I want you to tell everyone what you did in martial arts.
Well, the martial arts stuff was, I didn't realize the amount of people involved in it when I started, and I was the second person to walk into the karate school when it opened. It had literally just opened its doors while we were driving by, and John Worley and Gary Hestelo opened it, and it changed my life completely. the good part about the karate stuff isn't so much, what I did personally and um, other things with that. I mean, meeting a guy like Troy Dorsey is one in a million. I'm sure you understand that too.
I do.
Talking to him, he is very rare. Uh, when he'd go on trips with us, uh, we'd go to Europe and be there for a couple of weeks. And Troy was somebody who I never even had to worry about. He was always on time. We had a saying that would be on weight and be on time. And he was those two things all the time.
Thank you, John. Thank you, man.
Well, that's true, yeah. And he helped me put up with Raymond.
Do you have any memories from the trips to Europe, or can you tell our audience a little bit more about what were you doing in Europe?
What trip was it, John? We were.
Well, we went to England and then Germany.
Okay, so we fought in England. At the Wembley Arena in 1985.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot where it was, but you got that right.
Yes, sir.
And so, is this the first time since then that y'all are seeing each other?
I don't think so. I think that our paths crossed, but certainly not enough.
Yeah, I know. That's the the amazing thing about this show. It can serve as a setting for a reunion a lot of the time for some of our guests we have on here with Troy. And it's always not that Troy has the wrong side of the story ever, but it's cool to hear the other side of the story as well on some of these things that he's talked to me about several times, in the past 2 years we've been recording this. And I'm not sure if you know, John, I usually bring this up at some point in every part of the podcast, but our studio is where Troy's karate school was for 22 years. So the building was purchased from him in December 2021. And so we get to record his podcast where he taught for over 2 decades. So it's pretty incredible.
He deserves a lot of credit for the stuff that he did.
Mm-hmm.
And traveling, and he made my life a lot easier because he was never a problem. He was always on time. We call it on time and on weight. And he was always those two things. I never had to worry about it. And plus, he also won every fight.
That helped.
That was a very big plus.
And John, let me ask, so as I was doing my research prior to this interview, can you tell us who Jim McAllister is and what your relationship is to him and the relationship to the Jim McAllister Academy of Martial Arts?
Yeah, I met Jim. His brother was in Minnesota doing some sort of work, and Jim came from England to visit him, and he had heard of me, and so we touched up with met each other, and it was a great thing because he was looking for people to come over there and do seminars and fight and show them the American way of doing things. And he had some bad luck with some original people he had talked to. And it actually turned into a thing where he and I are great friends.
It's cutting out.
His daughter came and babysit my child when he was born, had a nanny. And Jim had such a great also outlook on martial arts. He was one of those rare people that could help everybody with whatever he did.
This is Jim who?
Jim McAllister.
Okay.
Is it breaking up a little bit less now?
Yes.
We were having a little bit of some issues with our headsets, but all's good now.
Okay.
Yeah, so I saw that on the internet, John, that you definitely played a role with Jim McAllister. And then kind of moving on to your training, so it looks like, so you trained under Grandmasters Worley and Carnahan and let me know if I'm pronouncing those incorrectly.
Yeah,
Yes,
I pronounced them correct?
that was good.
Okay.
you got it. Yeah.
Good. All right. So, how specifically did they help mold you as a fighter, and not just a fighter, but a dominant fighter?
Well, there's kind of interesting because two of the main people for my success of when I did this, one was John Worley, who was my original instructor. He was mainly a puncher, used his hands, but because of that, I think he actually taught me how to kick. And then Larry Carnahan, who was a kicker, one of the great, fantastic athletes in the sport, taught me how to punch. And so I tried to learn something from each person that I ever dealt with, take something home with it and put it to my own use. Like Troy is interesting in him. He taught me a lot about being calm and thinking things through and not to get upset about stuff. He's very good at stuff like that.
Did you know you're good at stuff like that?
I didn't think I was good at stuff like that, but I'm just fortunate. I'm glad that if I was able to help in any way, I'm grateful for that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was invaluable on those trips in dealing with people. And when you're somewhere in England, you don't know where you're at and what's going on. He was very valuable in helping the people who were with us just to calm down and not to worry about it. He would talk about the Lord. The Lord is with us, and He is going to help us, and that's exactly what happened.
Well, I'm not surprised by that, knowing Troy and how he is. And John, I also had a name, Master Nathan Thorne, that I saw come up in my research on you. Can you tell us who he is and how you have been a mentor to him?
Nathan, we call him Nate, is a tremendous person. Opened some karate schools in the eastern part of the state here, and made martial arts training part of. If you were a student of his, it's almost like you're part of his family. He was very close with every student that he had, which is hard and rare to do. But he managed to do it very easily and was very successful with it.
Troy, would you be interested? Do you know Nathan Thorne?
I don't think I've met Mr. Horn, no.
It sounds like we need to have him on our show as well, John. It sounds like he'd be a great person to interview too.
He's very interesting person to talk to.
Okay, well, now we have somebody else we need to add on the list to be on If the Gloves Could Talk.
Yeah.
But John, my last question for you for today's interview is, how did you help develop the curriculum of martial arts for students to learn better and progress as a black belt?
Well, one of the things, I'm sure you've seen movies or TV shows with martial arts on it, and they're doing all these strange looking moves and they're jumping and spinning around and all that. And a big part of what I try to do is because not very many people can even do that. I couldn't do it. Troy could do it. He can jump up and spin around and land on his feet.
Can you still do that?
He makes it look easy.
Right.
When you're another martial artist and you're trying to do it, it's not easy to do. And so I actually spent a lot of my time with people when they would watch somebody doing things like that, saying, you don't have to be able to do that to be a good martial artist. To be a good martial artist, you have to be a good person. Start with that. And that seemed to help them quite a bit because they could do that rather than jump up and spin around and hit someone in the head, land on their feet.
Well, John Longstreet was an amazing kicker. He was an amazing kicker.
Well, I see that. I see that right here.
Yeah, that was it wasn't posed, but that was amazing. Yeah, I never could do a kick
that was
like
a real
that.
kick.
Yeah.
What do you call that kind of kick?
Jump side kick.
Yeah.
Jump side kick. And yours was the round kick, right?
Turn kick.
Turn
Turn
kick.
hit kick, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever do the turn kick much, John?
Oh yeah, he did them also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it catches people off guard.
I can
When
imagine.
so when someone like Troy's throwing it at you, it makes you really kind of start to see that body turn. You
Right.
just think, I've got to get out of the way of this thing, like a tornado.
Oh, wow. Well, Troy, before we close this out, do you have anything else to add for our guest today?
What you up to? What you up to now, John? Anything? Doing any martial arts?
Pardon, I couldn't hear you.
Are you doing any martial arts now?
Yeah, I have some people that I work with,
Okay.
and they'll call me up, and I'll go do some seminars for them. Or if they've got a student that's having a hard time with certain things, they'll sit down with them sometimes and talk to them and try to break it down. And
Yes,
if they
sir.
don't have to be a good martial artist, you don't have to be able to jump up in the air and spin around and kick a paper cup off someone's head. That's not a good martial artist. It's more what's about you and your person. Troy's a great example of that.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great martial artist, and he also was a great fighter, which is a rare combination. But he's had a lot of friends down there in Texas that are like that. They're very good martial artists, great people, and they can fight.
For sure.
Well, it's a gift from the Lord for sure. So just like you and I meet, we got to meet and hang out some and do some fun things and some crazy things. We went up on the Eiffel Tower, didn't we?
Really?
Oh, okay. You bring that up. I've been trying to forget about that. Troy we were in the Eiffel Tower, and Troy grabbed hold of the railing that was there and jumped over the side of it.
Oh my
hanging
goodness.
Just by the railing. And I about had a heart attack.
Did you think that was a good idea?
No,
I guess
no, that was not a good idea.
I guess at that
Still
time,
thinking about it, it was horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible thing.
Well,
we have a Six Flags tower here in Arlington.
we do.
It's 300 foot. It's 300 foot tall, but the Eiffel Tower is 900 feet tall.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it's 3 times. Yeah, it was.
It's tall.
Yes, sir.
Well, you both are still standing today, so I guess.
By the grace of God.
I'm not
for sure.
going any tall buildings with him.
Yeah. No,
I'm not
now I
doing
know
it.
that. Well, John, thank you so much for joining us today on If the Gloves Could Talk. We really appreciate your time and sharing some
My
of your
pleasure.
wisdom with us. So, Troy, anything else you want to add before we?
I don't think so. I just tell John I love you, and I'm sure I'm glad. Glad to see you. Grateful that you joined our podcast, and it'll be out in about a week or so.
It'll be out this Friday, actually.
It's on Facebook,
Okay.
Spotify, Instagram, and
Facebook, Spotify. Did you say YouTube?
no, I didn't say YouTube.
And YouTube.
Yeah. So if you could,
Yeah,
if
it's
you
like
could-
we're all brothers.
okay.
All right. Thank you so much, John. And we will be right back, you guys, after the commercial break.
Goodbye, John. I love you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Troy, how nice was it to be able to finally catch up with John after this whole time? I know y'all have been keeping in contact and things like that,
Yes.
but to have this conversation today.
Yeah, it was great to see him and see his face and hear a little bit of his story. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. It was great to see John always.
And it's so cool to be able to have these conversations with the greats, and that one thing that they all have in common is that they're so humble. You wouldn't think that they're one of the greats by the way they act, they're just so...
Yeah, he was like putting himself down.
I know.
Not putting himself down, but he was, or he does that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think I've just noticed a lot with, professionals, experts in the martial arts industry, that they very much make their accomplishments, I feel like, smaller than they are.
yeah, he's a really humble guy. That's it.
Yes.
Very humble man.
So, super great conversation we had with John there. Glad we got him on the show. And Troy, before we close out today, is there anything you want to tell our viewers?
Well, we saw an act of God yesterday, and every day you just look at the little thing like the sun coming up and the sun going down, and time keeps going. God is always in control. And sometimes we think we are. So it just kind of reminds me, I need to give it all to Him, and all the glory and all the praise to our Lord Jesus Christ for dying on the cross for us. Guess what happened when He died on the cross? I almost gonna cry. When He died on the cross, it went dark in the middle of the day, just like yesterday. Wow. So
I know, it's
an act. It was all this was an act of God, and now that it just reminded me. I'm sorry I didn't even think about it yesterday. That the last time that happened, well, I guess it was 300 years ago, but I think it was 2,000 years ago is when He died on the cross, and that was another. They didn't call it eclipse then. It just went dark.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know how that was scientifically, how that all happened. Well, it just went dark.
Right.
So maybe the sun was still out. I don't know. And He commanded the sun to not shine and the moon to shine. So, wow.
And it's just crazy we got to experience that.
Yes.
So,
an act of God. Wow. What an amazing God we serve.
I know. And another great episode today of If the Gloves Could Talk.
Yeah.
So thank you, Destroyers, so much for watching this week's episode. We'll be back next week with some more content, and you'll see some more of me and Troy. All right. Bye, guys.
Goodbye. Thank y'all.